Yo, 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 people. It's Coach Simmons here. I'm doing an article I didn't think I would have to do in 2021. Um, when I first started coaching was basically like 5 years ago. Well, 6 years ago, sorry. And I felt like this was something that was being changed. But somebody actually challenged me to put this video out early. Well, looking into it, and it has not changed. It may have gotten worse, which also will explain to me my view is why I think the SWAC needs to jump up to the FBS level. This is an article 8 months ago by Connor O'Gara. It's about Sylvester Croom. I'll put all the links down in the description, but this is basically what it says. Sylvester Croom, if you don't know, was a coach at Mississippi State. Um, to get down to the gist of it, I'll pull out the biggest parts of the interview, at least to me. Um, There are certain numbers that Krum already knows. For example, he's well aware, including him, there have only been five black head coaches in the SEC. Five non-interim coaches have held the title. Sorry, 59 non-interim coaches held the title of SEC head coach in the 21st century. Krum, self, Joker, Phillips, James Franklin, Kevin Sumlin, and Derek Mason are the five members of that fraternity. Now, this is where it gets weird. So, 46.8% of the on-field SEC assistants are minorities, which nearly matches the 48.5% of black FBS players via the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport. Now, this is last year. Now, keep in mind, Derek Mason is no longer there at Vanderbilt. So, he is now zero of the 14 schools have a black coach. Five of the 18 SEC coaches who hold defensive coordinator title are black. Two of the 14 SEC coaches hold offensive coordinator title are black. Eight of the 46 SEC coaches who hold the title of head coach or coordinator are black. So when it breaks down to it, it comes down to the perception that African Americans are not intelligent enough to be a head coach, which is something that was very common. Um, Growing up in the Midwest, in Texas, and in Kansas, one of my favorite football players of all time, even though I'd never seen him play live, but just the man's aura was the great Willie Lanier. 16, played for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he came from Morgan State. One of the things that he said, well, this will explain it better than I can say it. When the Chiefs selected Lanier in '67, 51 other players from HBCU programs were also drafted. The number jumped to 68 the year later. However, for Lanier, there was still a major barrier to break. Most of the players from HBCUs and most of the black players in general were defensive linemen, defensive backs, wide receivers, or running backs. Middle linebacker, offensive guard, quarterback, and free safety was still one of the white only positions in pro football. I mean, it sounds absurd today as black players now play every position on the field, but in Lanier's era, these positions were reserved for white players by white coaches and white front office executives because they were so-called the thinking man positions. Thinking man positions, which is not trying to call them out, but this does lead to what Dan Olaski said. Uh, Basically said people from a couple of teams did question Phil's work ethic, i.e., leadership. Whenever there's a black quarterback or black coach comes up, they question can they lead a team, which goes back to what was going on in the 60s and the 70s when they were so-called thinking positions. It's the same thing. Now you look at the NFL, and we're going to get to SEC, but look at the NFL. There are coaching trees. There are six major coaching trees. That goes all the way from Marvin Lewis, who had Hugh Jackson was the Browns coach, but now he's coaching at Tennessee State. Van Joseph is now the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. Um, but looking down, John Gruden's tree, Sean McVay is still there, but there's nobody else. Keep going down. Bill Belichick, Adam Gase. Well, he was just fired from the Jets, and that was kind of deserved. But Brian Flores is still there, so that's one from Belichick's tree. Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin is probably one of the best coaches out there. So with these trees, as you can see, nobody has gotten Airbnb, which I don't get. But for Andy Reid's tree, Bowles and Lynn. So looking at it, the NFL, in order to become a head coach, you have to get on one of these trees, get one of these great rosters, as you want to say. The NFL is doing a much better job of doing that than college football. Being honest with you, college football is the problem going to be if this man does do well. And there is a watch list for minority coaches, we get it. But Dion is actually promoting a conference, not just a player. He's rivaling in the state of Mississippi, Lane Kiffin, as the state's most visible football coach. He's way out rivaling Mike Leach. Mike Leach is not even on the same level as Kiffin and Dion. So Kiffin has the state's premier school. Dion has basically the loudest megaphone. And that's one thing that we got to look at when looking into these coaches. Um, Going down, yeah, Marcus Freeman, he's doing great over there in Cincinnati. We get that. But Bieniemy, Freeman, there's a guy named Saleh and Sanders are a handful of minority coaches throughout the ranks poised for head coaching opportunities and larger roles. I heard something the other day, which I really do hope it happens, about Dion being considered for a commissioner role for the SWAC because getting more coaches out, some coaches are ready. They're ready to run their programs, run their own offense and defenses, but we just can't get visibly recognized. Now, when you look at the numbers, don't lie. This is broke down by conference, the Power Five, right? 65 positions in the Power Five. I'm going to show you something that's going to be weird until you realize what's going on. So, SEC, of course, zero head coaches. ACC, one. Pac 12, five. Big 10, five. Big 12, zero. These are honestly the major conferences. They could be considered the Power Three. There's West Coast bias, so California does have a little more leeway, and California does have that woke mentality. And the Big Ten, they also want to have an appearance because they're a little more accepting because the Midwest is all about working hard, proving what you can do. So I give the Big Ten credit for that. Offensive coordinators, two, one, 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 zero SEC. Now, co-offensive coordinator, basically assistant, give me some coffee. SEC has one. Big Ten again leads with three. Defensive coordinator, SEC with three, ACC with four. The other conference is zero. The co-defensive coordinator, give me some coffee, basically. These are the ones who are getting uh, trained to become up here. So you have one in the SEC being trained to be an offensive coordinator, none being trained to be a defensive coordinator. It's probably because these guys have already moved up from this position and there's no one else to take their place. ACC has two, Big 10, Big 12 has one, Pac 12 has three, Big 10 has two. So a total of eight so over the Power Five conferences. Special teams, as you can see, two, three, two, two, and one. Special teams ST, assistant ST, sorry. Same thing as the co-defensive coordinator. They're being trained to become the head one. They'll be the SEC. ACC has one, that's only one. Now, this is where it gets interesting to me. The strength and conditioning coaches. Can you show me how to work out and get stronger like you, big black man? This is what it is. Out of all the positions to show me how to work out, those have the most. SEC with three, ACC two, Big 12 two, Pac 12 four, Big 10 two. Um, these right here are positions that don't really have any upward mobility. You can't go from here to being a head coach. It's not going to happen. You're just there to help me work out. Associate head coach. Now, this is one that, yes, it does have a little more upward mobility. Um, this one an assistant head coach, but you got to go from associate to an assistant. But this is what it is. You have four in the SEC, one in the ACC, five in the Big 12, one in the Big Pac 12, and one in the um, Big 10. But Big 10 also and the Pac 12 may have the least, but they have the most head coaches. So these guys have already moved up the ranks. Assistant head coach, two, one, 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 and four. So it looks like passing coordinator. This is where Jason Phillips came from. Um, Passing coordinator, you're basically over the passing offense. You're basically over the making sure the right routes are run. You're basically assistant offense coordinator. Um, assistant to the assistant offense coordinator. So you're gonna have SEC with two, ACC with two, two Big 12, two Pac 12, and zero Big 10. But the Big 10 also has the most offensive coordinators who are black, so they may have moved up the ranks already. Now, the pass and defensive coordinator, you work with the secondary, making sure that the routes are run with the secondary and the middle linebackers, that they run correctly and know the right positions to be in. Out of all these positions, there's only one that's in the ACC. Running coordinator, same thing. Running backs, left tackles, guards, on make sure everything's the right way, run the right blocking schemes, yada yada. You're gonna have one SEC, one ACC, one Big 12, zero Pac 12, and two in the Big 10. And to get the same thing, defensive coordinator for running, you're going to have ACC with one and Pac 12 with one. Now, remember, I said there's a thing about upper mobility. There are really two um, places that don't have upper mobility. Most of them do have at least a little bit. This one right here would be strength and conditioning coach. There's no way you're going up from there. Running backs coach. Do you see where the biggest positions are being held? Things that you can only control via your athletic ability or the talent that God gave you. So that would be running backs coach, 11, 11, 8, 9, 10, strength and conditioning. What does this mean? It's basically, without saying the word, these are positions that are just meant to keep people there. I believe the Norfolk State uh, head coach, left, went to Eastern Carolina. I believe it was to coach tight ends. I could be wrong. Um, but it's basically not a position that you can move up from, at least not quickly. Um, Now they do pay a lot more. Now I'm not gonna lie, the pay for a coordinator position on a group of five is probably more than the head coach and the SWAC. But with that being said, in order to get these positions, you have to either break the mold, like the celebrity coach thing is going on with Eddie George, Tyrone Wheatley to a little bit, and Deion Sanders. Um, but you got to get play people into the pros. That is your main objective. The more people get into the pros, the better it is. When it comes to HBCU coaches, out of the top 50, there are seven still here right now. That's Virginia State, Reggie Barlow, Morehouse, Anthony Jones, Tuskegee, Willie Slater, Kermit Blunt over at J.C. Smith, Benedict with James White, S.C. State with Oliver um, Poe. But the thing you got to realize, these are the top 50 winning coaches in HBCU history. HBCU history, sorry. We got to get kids to the pros. Once you get kids to the pros, you create that lineage, and they can't keep denying you. They're going to deny you, but they won't have any reason to deny you besides the color of your skin. And if we decide to move up from the SWAC, from the FCS to the FBS, we need to look at, can we include some teams and leave some teams out. Well, if we do that, of course, one of the obvious teams is going to be, can we get Tennessee State and North Carolina A&T? That's obvious. What's not so obvious is, when you want to get kids in the pros, there has been no school recently better than SC State. If you don't believe me, these are the 29 people from HBCUs in the pros right now. 29, seven are from the SWAC total. 22 other people from other conferences are in there. Who's the most? SC State, Alex Brown. SC State, Anthony Hamilton. SC State, John Hargrave. Keep going up. SC State, Alex Taylor. And SC State, Joe Thomas. SC State almost had, oh, forgot somebody, Darius Leonard. SC State has more players in the NFL than the whole SWAC does as a whole. We have to promote ourselves. We have to get up, and everybody on YouTube who's an HBCU supporter, who's a recent fan, everybody who believes in the future of our cause, we have to promote ourselves. Because if they don't want to hire us, we got to bring the whole damn conference to them. And if the SWAC, which is the most visible HBCU conference, does go to Division FBS, it will be a huge problem with the SEC. Stadiums or not, stadium now, A&M got their stadium. Prairie A&M got the stadium because they're part of the Texas A&M lineage. I get that, but we have stadiums that are very much accustomed to the WAC, the Sun Belt. We can hang with them and facilities, but when it comes to culture, we create the culture. But then, hey, what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Have a good day.